My name's Rick Bentley, and I've been here 23 years. I started my 24th year August 1st. I told him today in the growl that I came here as a junior in college and never left, and that's basically what has happened here. The time that I was away, not between graduating and working here, I was covering UPike sports for the newspaper the entire time. So I've missed 1 year of being in sports since I graduated from college.
Wow. And what is your current role here at school?
I teach in the College of Business. I'm an assistant professor, sport management.
Wow. Okay. So professor, and a lot of institutional history you bring. 17
years as sports information director. This is my 7th year in the classroom. I also graduated from here. I was a member of the Centennial class in 1989. I always tell people the t-shirts they sell in the bookstore, that's 1889. That's not me. 1989, that would be me.
So I wonder, as a kid, did you think that your life was going to be dedicated to Pikeville College or UPike?
No, not at all, but I did think sports. Of course, I thought I was going to play Major League Baseball, right? I didn't realize at the time that playing 14 Little League games, and then when I got to high school, playing 15 high school games a year, because that's all we played when I was playing. I didn't realize that that wasn't preparing me for a life in the major leagues. But my dad told me a long time ago, he told me 2 things. He said, if you could ever figure out a way to get people to pay you to talk, you're going to be great. And he said, if you could ever figure out a way to work in sports, you're going to roll. And since the time I graduated from college, actually the time I transferred here as a junior until now, which is 32 years, I've worked 8 months out of sports in my life. It's been a great life. It's not been a lucrative life, but it's been a great life.
When we think about dream jobs, as a kid, of course, the dream was to play Major League Baseball.
Sure.
I'm assuming for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but now, in this part of your life, what's a dream job for you now?
I also didn't realize that Pete Rose would still be playing for the Reds when I was 52 years old. Actually, Rob, for one thing, being here I didn't realize when I was hired here in 1996 that God was putting me here for a reason. And while I tell people at my core I'm a writer, and the students who take my sports writing class would probably tell you that was too much of a writer, but whatever. But this school has become a mission field for me. And in 1996, when I was hired here, I wasn't necessarily doing what God wanted me to do. But in His infinite wisdom, He knows more than we know, and He can see farther down the path than we can. And I truly believe that I'm here to do His work. Now, it happens that I teach in the classroom now. It happens that I spent 17 years in athletics. All of that was to get me into my mission field. The Apostle Paul was a tent maker, but we don't study his tent making. And I think a lot of us are that way here. At least I hope a lot of us are that way here. And I truly feel like that God put me here for a reason 24 years ago.
So did anything happen in life that spurred you onto this path?
When my brother died in 2003, that was what got me serious about serving God again. As far as the sports part of it, it's just been a lifelong thing for me. It started when I played t-ball when I was 5 years old, and I remember that distinctly because the field was behind the place where I graduated from high school. And then my dad wound up being president of the Little League, and he was one of the people who helped them establish the field where I wound up playing Little League baseball, and my brothers did, and my son also played on that field too. So we, that was kind of how the sports thing got started, and it was just a passion for me. It's something that this won't surprise you. You know me pretty well, but when I'm home, people talk about the crazy things that are on TV, and this, that, and the other thing, and even cartoons or things that you don't necessarily want your kids to watch. I don't see a lot of that because most of what I watch is sports, so it's kind of that way at home. I've spent a lot of this particular summer getting back into the Bible. I've been reading and studying and that sort of thing, and trying to prepare myself to be a better person, to be a better servant for Him. it all ties together here. You know, that's where the sports and the serving God come together. And it's one of the reasons that I've loved being here. And you get this very much, Rob. It's very humbling when you're in the salad line in the cafeteria and a student comes up and says, "Hey, can you pray for my grandma?" That just floors me every time somebody asks me for that, because who am I, you know, that they want me to pray for them. So I've kind of tied it all together here, and I'm amazed every time I tell somebody that how long I've been here. I always say, you know, they haven't fired me yet. I'm surprised that I'm still working here, but this truly is a mission field for me.
So you think about your whole life and your call, the way you define it today. How would you put that into a sentence? When you say Rick Bentley is called to?
I'm called to serve God on this campus. And, you know, along the way, I have a lifetime of experience working in sports, in and around sports. I tell my students all the time that the air is about to come out of the ball. Your playing career is about over. And to this point, you have never had to worry about, when you show up to play football, that the field's lined and the pylons are where they're supposed to be and the goalposts are exactly where they're supposed to be and all that sort of stuff. You never had to worry about that, nor should you. But soon, you're not going to be on the playing field. You're not going to be in pads and helmets and that sort of thing. So you're going to have to worry about, if you want to stay involved in this, how do I do that? And one of the ways is through this sport management major that we have here now. And I try to share my experiences with them, because I've done it on so many levels. Ron Dameron was my boss for the first 12 or 14 years that I was here. And Ron was really great about, this is your job, go do it. And one of the jobs I had was being the person in charge, the point man at a lot of sporting events, because Ron was coaching. So he didn't have time to be at every volleyball match. He had practice. He didn't have time to be at football. He was, you know, on the road. So as a result of that, I was the person who was the, you know, if something happened at those sporting events, I was the guy they called. And so, you know, these are ways you can stay involved in sports. If sports is your passion like it is mine, that's how it works. And that was a really long sentence, by the way. I just realized that you asked me for that sentence.
So you've had a big hand in influencing people, whether on the field, as a writer, as a professor, right? You've had a big hand in influencing people. But who's influenced you to help you understand your own call in life?
Ron Dameron played a big role in my life. When I was in high school, Ron's wife, Shella, was my freshman English teacher. And I kept waiting on her to teach sophomore English and junior English. And when we got to be a senior and she wasn't teaching English, I took French just because she taught that class. And I wanted to be in her classroom again. And so we had a great relationship there. And I kind of felt like I wanted to do business, or I thought that business was something that I would want to major in. And through Shella, I went to the bank and met with Ron when he was working at the bank. And he and I sat down and talked, and that was the day that Ron told me that if you want to make a lot of money, don't go into banking. He didn't tell me that about higher education. He told me that about banking. He actually hired me to do this job, but he's been the guy I would point to as a major influence on my life. And I also had a couple of pastors who were really important to me. Ronald Coleman was the pastor when I first got into my life when I was 16 years old, and he passed away a few years ago. And then we just lost our pastor a couple of years ago, Darrell Harmon, when I rededicated. And he was another sports freak, and once opened church by saying he had a very special prayer request. Kentucky was playing that day, and he needed us to pray that things went well. That's my kind of pastor right there. But those are the kind of people who have really been major influences on me. And also, I teach in this College of Business here, and when I was a student here in business, there were 4 people who taught in business. 3 of them are Howard Roberts, who's my dean, Brenda Maynard, who's the chairman of the faculty, and Pam Gillen, who is the assistant provost. So 3 of them still work here, and I had them in the classroom. So big influences on me in that way too.
So if someone was watching this today and they said, hey, like, you're living my dream, that's why I want to do what you're doing. What did you do to align yourself to get here?
I did not play sports in college, which I think surprises a lot of people. I did go to college to play baseball, but I realized pretty quickly that the time demands and the academic demands were not going to be something that worked well for me. I was going to have to choose. Was I going to play baseball for a year, or was I going to try to get a degree? And I chose to try to get a degree, and that would be the first thing. I think that the more education you get, even if you don't finish your degree, the more education you get, the better off you're going to be. It's something you can never lose. They can never take away from you. Get involved in sports in every way you can. I umpired Little League Baseball when I was in college for a summer. I made $8 a game. You know, I was getting wealthy. You know, just didn't realize it. Get involved. I tell people in my classes all the time, volunteer. Go back when you go back home. Go to your high school coach. If he has a camp, say, Coach, I'd like to work your camp. And if he says that he can't pay you, you don't want paid. You want the experience. Because when you get in front of those kids, the fact that you're a college athlete is going to give you extra credibility with them. So do that. Give back to the community. Give back in every way you possibly can. Get involved in as many things as you can when you do that. And I say that and realize that I fail in that way in a lot of ways myself. But try to do that as much as you can. It's going to open up a lot of doors for you. And also, it looks great on a resume. Volunteerism pops off of a resume. When somebody's got that in front of you, they're going to ask you. So you volunteer at youth camps, you volunteer at YMCA, you do what, because they realize that if you will work for free, you're probably going to work pretty hard when you get paid.
So, in your life, you've had countless conversations with young people, and just from various sports conversations to life conversations. So when you have somebody who comes in and says, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with my life, you've had this clear sports call, but I'm clueless, what advice do you have for them?
Well, prayer is a good way to start. It opens up a lot of doors for you. God will make it clear to you. And what I think that you and I realize, Rob, a lot of people don't, is that God will talk to you if you'll listen. But the problem is we view prayer as a one-way street. Here, God, here's a list of all the things I need. Take care of this for me. And that's not what it's about. We need to listen. And you also need to try as many things as you can. And one of the great things that we've done here in the last year is we have changed the core to the point that you can experiment with a psychology class, with a religion class, with a business class, with chemistry, with whatever you want to try those things and see. One of them is going to click for you. If it doesn't, you're probably not meant to be here, but one of them will. Somewhere along the way, you'll find the thing that piques your interest, that really gets you excited and gets you motivated, and you don't mind to get up for that 8 o'clock class because you'll get excited about that. If you have an opportunity to play a sport, do it. If you have an opportunity to be in the band, do it. If you have an opportunity to be a part of Bug or any of these groups that we've got on campus, even if you can't make every meeting, go when you can. Find something and engage yourself. And I think that that's a key. And hopefully what we'll find is their passion is about business. But if it's not, and we can guide them to where their passion is, that's what we need to do. You know, I had students come to me a couple of years ago and said, hey, I love your classes, but I think that if I'm going to be successful in getting my degree, I need to change to this major. So I said, great, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's go to those people, because I know people there too. And that's the thing about being around here as long as I have and you have. We know who to ask. We know who those people are. And that's why I tell people, ask us, because if we don't know the answer, we probably know the person who does know the answer. And we will take you to them. And if I have to get up and walk out of my office and walk you up to campus, that's fine. That's what it's all about right there. That's what we do. That's part of serving, that we give back in any way that we possibly can. And if somebody comes in and needs that, I don't care if I don't even know them. You know, in the grouse session today, I talked to 3 students. None of them wanted to major in sport management, but they wanted to major in business. And I told them, hey, stop by my office. Just let me know how you're doing. Stop by and talk, and let me see how you are. And Rob, if we can help some kid who needs tutoring, that's fine. If we can help a kid who needs a ride to Walmart, why can't we do that? If we can talk to a kid who needs $20 to get home on the weekend, you know, that's why we're here. That's what we do. And that's what it's all about for us. We need to find a way to help our students be as successful as we can. If they come in needing help, that's when we need to shut everything else down, no matter how important we think it is at the time, and focus on that student. That's what it's all about.